the soccer field. And we have Courtney. Courtney, are you there? Courtney?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, you want to tell us a little bit about the naming of the soccer field, please?
Yes. So, we've had this group, the Red Lodge Youth Soccer Group, that's been working on for several years trying to get a soccer field at Coal Miners Park, and so they came to the Parks Board with the hope to choose a name for the soccer field, and I think there are members there who want to speak on it. So I feel any naming of an amenity within a park needs to go through City Council. So they're here tonight to see if City Council will support the soccer group in naming of the field so that they can move forward with that.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Courtney?
I'll just mention I did attend the Parks Board meeting, and so I'll let the youth soccer group speak for themselves, but if council has additional questions, I might be able to help.
I guess just a clarification that they're not, and I already talked to Jen about this, but just saying it out loud, that they're not asking to rename the park itself.
No, right.
They're just naming, they're asking to name the new field that will be constructed.
Right, so they're asking, A, can they name the field, not the park, and then B, also still preserving that whatever name they put forward will still go through this process, and that actual name will still come to the council for final vote.
Thank
Mayor?
you. Yes.
I was under the impression it was going to be a bronze plaque on a rock. I didn't know it was going to be naming a field. I have no objection to that, but I just needed to be clarified.
They haven't decided yet what it would actually look like physically, I don't believe, and if anybody.
Yeah, Mike, I thank you for your time. Basically, we're just looking for the city council's approval to go ahead with contacting family and getting a definite, more concrete name, whether that's going to be a plaque or something of that nature. Obviously, the end result will fall to you to approve.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not looking to make it gaudy or anything like that.
But you're just looking to move forward with the process without any objections to make sure that process is
Correct.
is good for the council.
So that we can go back to the family. The family's shown great interest
Mm-hmm.
in this, and rather than trying to put the cart in front of the horse, we just want to cross our T's and dot our I's and make sure that we have the council's approval to go ahead with bringing a name to you for the naming of that field.
Okay, thank you. And so we'll bring this to a vote during the council session, but if anybody has any questions further, now would be the time to ask them, yes?
I don't necessarily have a question, but I just wanted to reiterate that this is the new soccer field that this group has worked really hard raising all of this money to get it built. It's been in process for what, how many years now? 5, 6, 7?
10.
And so I think it's a great idea to kind of help them move this along and make it special.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the naming of the field, not the whole park.
Correct.
So.
Well, thank you for all your hard work. Oh,
Mayor, I just had another question. I wondered if it would be the youth soccer group is all in agreement with the name that they're moving forward with. Everybody, there's harmony. We don't want any surprises later. We're good? We're good?
Yes, I mean, like I said, we haven't actually finalized the name or anything like that yet. Hopefully that will come forward pretty quickly. And then, we'll be in agreement as a soccer club within the community, and then we'll bring that to the city council for your final approval.
thank you for all the work you've done. The second thing on our work session is changing the position of the one remaining department head who is still, with a renewable contract as opposed to, being made a regular employee. All of the other department heads have over time become regular employees, and, there's difficulties with having two sets of situations. I've contacted Dan Clark with MSU, who's the go-to for community information, and he has indicated that that nearly all Montana communities are going with permanent employee contracts, and I think it's appropriate that we do that. There's pros and cons to both ways of doing it, but it's in my opinion, I think that continuing with a contract is somewhat dated, especially in light of the fact that each of the rest of the department heads are employees. So if anybody has any comments or questions, then I can probably answer them. Maybe Lonnie can answer them. But anybody have anything to add? Or
I'm assuming this is something that's desired by Jim.
Yeah, we said that will work fine for me too, it was an employee position before I started, it became a contract deal 7-8 years ago when I took this, and I'm fine to be a city employee, it works the same either way, it's just, I don't have to negotiate every couple of years to either have a job or not have a job.
any further questions or comments? Then we'll roll right along. The next thing up is ordinance number 762, and it would be a second amendment on that ordinance. And the situation on that is right now, so this is a work session, it's a little informal, and then we wait until 7 to begin the council meeting. And then at the next meeting, the whole meeting is a work session. But there's the things I would like to merge them both together so that we don't have a lapse between meetings. I think that it would be more efficient time-wise, and it would get everybody home earlier to enjoy their families and whatever. But this has been posted online in the agenda packet. So if anybody has any questions or preferences, then let's hear them. So, Teresa, do you have anything?
I like the idea of having room for action on every council meeting, and I think this makes that much easier rather than saying that something's an emergency and trying to justify it. I think it moves us along more smoothly, and I do like the idea of carving out the space for a working session if it's necessary. I just wondered, what would that look like? How would that be organized among our agenda? How do you see that working?
Well, in my mind, if we were done with the working session right now, we would have to wait until 7 to begin the council meeting.
Yeah, I understand that. No, I mean, that's the part I like about it.
Oh.
So, would you just state that it's a working session and whatever the item is, like we talked about having department heads, open to discussion or stuff like that? Would that be within the agenda at that point?
I'll let Lonnie's the agenda person, and I'll let her answer your question.
So Kristen and I kind of talked. So it would still have the main heading of city council business meeting, city council work session, business meeting / public hearing agenda, but we're just going to consolidate. So the council working session will still be included in the agenda. It'll be like after the roll call of officers, and then working session, any things that are under that. And then once those are done, we can just continue to keep rolling on. But it would start at 6 instead of it starting at 7. Okay. So.
And we would still have items for the working session if it's carved out, would be on there, so we know.
Yeah. So she would call the meeting to order, roll call, and then we'll go right into the work session items. And then once those are done, then we go into the action items of the business meeting.
Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? Yes,
I like this idea, for a couple of reasons. One, I like the idea that we're gonna have a council meeting twice a month now with action items for voting on them. And that I like the idea that we're specifically being intentional about working session items are not action items, they're discussion items. And again, also wanting to preserve everybody's time and not have that lag in the middle. I have voiced before that I have a little bit of concern about reducing the amount of time we have together in a working session environment. So I'll just be paying attention to, are these 2 sessions enough time for us to do what we need to do? But I'm excited to try this out.
Great. Is that everything? Okay, moving on. All right, this is the big one. The events committee, and it's technically an update, but my computer was down and I missed that. But I just want to make a statement. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight. Also, I'd like to thank each of you who took the time to email us your thoughts. It sounds like we're all on the same page for loving our events, and we certainly appreciate the revenue that they generate. I will mention that there are some rumors floating around about the intentions of the events committee. The events committee was appointed by the former mayor to look at how we handle events and see if there are things we can do better. To date, the committee has asked for public input about how we can make events even better by looking at the application process, garbage, bathrooms, noise, parking, and revenue, those sorts of things. I'm sure there's a much longer list after gathering more data. That's why the committee has held a public forum and worked extensively to hear from you. So I thank you for participating in that. They're working on putting all the information together, and as soon as it's done, they're going to share it here as soon as it can be scheduled in. We were elected to listen to the people of Red Lodge, and that's what all of us are trying to do. Be assured, we love all of our events. And just so you know, I did purchase my rodeo tickets the first day they went on sale. We appreciate the revenue and the fun, and we will continue to work to make things better on our end. So with that, I would like to have, I believe Terry is going to provide, or is there one of you that's going to provide the latest update? Kelly or Terry or Jody?
I can provide it if you
Sure.
want. And then you guys, Jody and
Sure, yeah, that'd
Kelly,
be great,
can
Terry.
add in anything. So I gotta take this off a little bit, I can't talk. So I did want to give an update, as I think Kristen mentioned. Thank you to everybody that's been continuing to provide input. We're reading all of it and we're summarizing it and putting it in a spreadsheet. So to date for 2022, I think last time we met, or a time ago, I gave you the numbers for 2021. So I wanted to give you an update for 2022 for the feedback we're getting. So we've had 30 public letters, which are all being documented and taken care of. And then we had 26 businesses. Some of you that own businesses may have known that we sent out a letter asking you what your feedback is on the different events, kind of in general, specific events, things around parking, like the mayor said. So of the letters or emails we did send out, we've had 26 businesses that have responded. The other thing, we did receive a petition, and I haven't been able to verify the names on that yet, but once that's done, that'll also be rolled into the data that we present. So I just want everybody to know that all of that information is being taken, summarized, and being accounted for as we're coming through with recommendations. And the other thing I did want to just ask is, and I know it's difficult, last time we had wanted to maybe give you some dates. Again, this is going to be at the discretion of the mayor, but we have some dates that we think we're going to be presenting. So let me give those to you now. And that is going to be, let's see, we're thinking March 8th or around within that week, we'll be doing the presentation either at this city council meeting or at a special meeting. And it's going to have all of the data and recommendations. And then we're going to give you 2 weeks to look at it, think about what you think about it, good and bad, give us feedback. And then 2 weeks later, you can come up and give us your feedback and let the city council hear what you think. And then 2 weeks after that, the city council will vote on it. So it's not the three of us that are making the decision on what happens in Red Lodge. It's going to be the city council that actually votes on it. And so those are going to be the people you want to talk to if you feel strongly either way about the recommendations. And it will be sort of a menu, I think we've talked about. We'll probably have a list of recommendations, and then the city council will vote on each of those. So I hope that clarifies it. And so, you know, I do apologize that we weren't able to, in the last city council meeting, provide to you kind of a timeline, so you realize that this is going to happen Q1, maybe a little bit into Q2. But please be assured, if you just give us, you know, just be patient, you're going to have a chance to look at that, like I say, around March 9th, and then start giving us feedback on specifics. So I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
My only comment is, there was a lot of confusion on whether or not the letters that were returned for the business feedback would be included in the packet, and they were not included in the packet. They are in a file in Lonnie's office. So if you would like those forwarded, you know, to be in the next packet, that decision was made because the questions that were asked, some of them were asking for financial feedback from the different businesses, and not all the businesses wanted that public. Although, you know, of course, it's always available with the freedom of information, and we did tell people that. But if you would specifically like yours put into the packet or made public, email Lonnie, and she will do that. Because there, like I said, I did get quite a few emails and comments from business owners or people who sent in letters wanting to know why they weren't in the packet, and that's why they weren't in the packet. So please let Lonnie know, or me know, if you want it public, and I will make it public in our next packet.
Lonnie, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, it was just confusing because, we had
Okay.
all the meetings. I tried to get which ones I could. And if people, you know, called and asked if their letter could be, and I put it in there, but yeah. So it was just a lot of confusion.
All right.
And I guess I'll say, that just an additional thing, we did send emails out to businesses, but businesses on Main Street is who we sent the emails out to.
No,
Not
you
that
can't.
don't
If you
count.
want to,
You are free to, as any citizen, write a letter and submit it.
Right.
You're not excluded. It's
No.
that businesses downtown are the ones that are affected the most by events that have a lot of people in the downtown core. So that's why we specifically requested their feedback, but we'd love to hear anybody's feedback, just like we've been saying since August, since last August.
Teresa, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I probably shouldn't comment.
Okay. It's up to you. Jen, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think I'll just say that I mean, we're all paying very close attention to your comments, and one of the things that I was most excited about in being elected to this position was my desire to foster more civic engagement. And so I appreciate seeing all of your faces here and your willingness to come out here on a Tuesday night when you have other things to do. And I would just say that I think I want to thank the committee for doing the hard work that they're doing in between these sessions to collect this data so that we can all engage with it as a community in a month or so. And so I think it's prudent to just appreciate the process and the fact that that the public's having a chance for input and to listen to the data when it comes out, and to not speculate on whatever recommendations might be forthcoming. Like, we're still in that process. So I appreciate the committee's work. I appreciate everyone who's here, and I appreciate all the letters and the timing set to write them. And we're paying attention to them. I'm paying attention to them. So thank you.
And then Teresa,
I'd like to retract my statement, because, most of all, because no comment is probably going to send the wrong message. I know there's a lot of fear out there. I've seen a lot of letters that say certain things that, to me, it's a little disheartening, because I know how hard the Special Events Committee is working, but please, we knew this was going to take time. And I think that we're getting a lot of reaction out of fear of, what is going on. But I think you've gotten a lot of clear messages about the time it takes to collect the data and really assess it, working with everybody in the community to get a clear picture. So it's not that I have no comment, it's that I don't want to cause any more fear, but I think if I don't say anything, the fear is worse. I trust in my peers up here, and I know that they're working very hard, and we just need some time. Everybody needs some time to let it sort through.
And just to be clear, if I haven't been clear enough already, there is no intent from anyone on city council to shut down any event. We love our events. We appreciate the revenue from our events, and we're just trying to make them better. It's what I campaigned on. I don't know if you saw, but I want more events and better events. So not to replace the events we have, but to help make them better. If there's any issues, this is the time that we want to address them. So that's the purpose of the event committee. So, and if anybody wants to have further public comment, we will have time at the end of the meeting so that anybody who would like to can speak. The next thing on the work session is, and it's the last, department head update. Lonnie, do you have any updates?
No, other than budget time, and department heads have their budgets and they're working on it, and we're starting the ball rolling on that. So that's pretty much all I got in my department, and then we're gonna speak to the or did you want me?
Yes, thank you, Lonnie. And, and Courtney might want to speak on this too. So another thing that we're doing in the city is, as you all know, our planner moved on to greener pastures. So we don't have a planner right now, which is real hard. We do have an assistant planner, but after having a few discussions, with Lonnie and with Courtney, the assistant planner, we thought, and I think some other people suggested some things, but we're going to try and contract out our planning. We have Courtney does a super job as the assistant planner, and we're going to. I think our goal is to save some money and have more, and still have the job filled. So we're going to try that out and see how it works. Hey, Courtney, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Sure. Yeah, I just like to, I guess, say that, the purpose of contracting a planner is because I've been with the city for a year, and I want more opportunity to attend more trainings and to kind of build on that skill set to better serve Red Lodge. And so a contract planner will be really key in some of these bigger updates to some of our outdated plans, handling some of these larger development projects, working with the planning board. And so I'm excited for the opportunity to have this contract planner and to look at some training sessions and some continuing education courses so that I can better serve Red Lodge.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? All right, Jim.
I make a comment, not having a planner, a lot of this stuff coming down on myself, the building inspector stuff, there's stuff that needs to be done, that we need someone who's more educated in some of the things that have to happen in the planning deal of some of these developments and stuff, and not having a planner is definitely detrimental to what's happening, and so it's slowing progress. That'll guarantee you that, because things aren't going to move forward without some of these questions being answered by the contractor, or the developer, or whatever. That we definitely need to either hire a contract one or get one plan. But it's an important position in this city, as far as, especially with the growth we're seeing in today, recently in the last year or two in Red Lodge. We definitely need to have someone with the expertise in that field. Not that working through it is a lot harder for us it's not in my position to do that, but I have to make it right now because some of that stuff needs to be decided before things move forward with someone that has the knowledge of how that really works. And it's very important that we get someone hired as soon as possible, because there's a lot happening right now that is being delayed because of the process that has to happen.
Mhm. Thank you. Did you have anything you would like to say about Public Works?
Probably we're working right along with things. We're starting to experience water and sewer, frozen sewers, frozen water. And people don't realize this, but we've had the cold spell now. When it's warming up, the frost goes down. So just today, we've had a water line freeze, 2 sewer lines that we're suspecting are frozen. We don't have that yet. But like I said, if you have had time in the past, if your water has frozen before, turn that pencil lead of water on, because this is when the frost is gonna start freezing water lines, sewer lines, and a give and take deal. If you're running that pencil lead down your water to keep your water from freezing, that little bit of trickle in your sewer is gonna freeze faster. There's a give and take on both of them, but frozen water is more a deal that we have to watch out for. And this is the time of year it happens. And so I'm just telling you, we're starting just as of today, we're experiencing some of that happening, and people don't, and I don't understand the science behind it, but once you've had cold and it starts warming, the frost goes deeper and starts freezing things. So everyone be aware that this is the time of year that happens. So if you've experienced it in the past and you've had frozen water, maybe you want to let your water run a little and not freeze. And we do everything we can to abide. But a couple of years ago, it was amazing what happened. But we're aware of it, and we'll keep doing everything we can do. The projects we're doing are still moving forward, although it doesn't move forward in Red Lodge this time of year. But we're continuing to advance all the things in the public works that need to happen.
And if you want to see any of that exciting stuff, which it is pretty exciting, but you can't see it, then please go to the website and look at the capital improvement plan, because it's full of everything Red Lodge intends to do for the next 5 years. So, Chief Struck, do you have some things that you'd like to mention, or how's it going over there?
So far, so good. Nothing really to report. Our numbers, the ones that I presented last meeting, have stayed pretty much the same. I can do an updated list and bring that in for the next meeting. But other than that, I really don't have anything to add right now,
Okay,
unless if there's any questions.
Are you, do you have full staff yet?
Kinda. Yeah. So what's happening with that is we are at capacity right now for officers. However, we do have officers in training. So, and then minus our administrative staff, we are, I feel still short staffed, but we are at our full capacity for the police department right now. We had some excellent hires. I can't say enough good things about the guys that we've hired. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Anything else?
Will you be filling that administrative position?
Yes, I did recently, at the beginning of the month, open up the position. We have a sergeant position vacancy that I've opened up for testing, and it closes here in approximately 1 week, after which I'll be putting a board together for an oral board, to which the officers that put in and apply for it are scored, and they're also scored on several other aspects of their application packet that they submitted.
Oh, and there was also a letter in the packet that from, I can't remember what the acronym of the people that wrote it, but it was, it was congratulating Greg on, thank you, AAFSCME, the Montana State Council, congratulating Greg on making sure he secured this wellness program for his officers, which is an important part of providing immediate access to mental health care whenever they need it. So that's a really important program. So thanks for doing that, Greg.
That's nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. Any other reports from anybody? I believe that covers everything. So the final thing on our work session is about domestic animals and wildlife. And Jody, do you want to start this discussion?
Sure. Well, I was assigned to the emerging issue, and if you have been in Red Lodge any length of time, you realize that we have a plethora of wildlife in city limits of Red Lodge. And with that, we are also getting more and more predators. And as we all know, not only do we have black bears in town, but we also have grizzly bears now. And mountain lions, yes. So, what we would like to do is start exploring, getting the public input, creating a wildlife plan for Red Lodge so that we can be proactive. I was going to have Courtney speak a little bit on this because that was her job as a Yellowstone Wildlife Sanctuary, was educating the public. But really, the main issue that we have in town is that we have too many attractants for wildlife, including people feeding the animals, the wildlife animals. So then we have an overpopulation of the deer and the turkeys. So, Courtney, would you like to speak a little bit about it? Are you there, Courtney?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit on it. You know, there's definitely our role in the city of enforcing the ordinances that we have, but it's also something that I think we could do more on it with education and outreach of how to live alongside wildlife and reduce our human-wildlife conflict. There are resources in Montana for ways that we can look into and try to be more creative for our community specifically. But People and Carnivores is another resource for anybody interested. They work with communities. They've worked with Virginia City in Montana, and looking at different ways that we can reduce those attractants for wildlife. But you know, if you're feeding the cute and cuddly and sweet and innocent wildlife, you're also feeding bears that will just eat everything, and they can smell up to 20 miles, you know, if the winds are right. And so, you know, we love Red Lodge for the same reasons a lot of wildlife love to be in Red Lodge. It's lush, it's a beautiful valley, there's water, there's a diverse number of trees and shrubs and browse for those wildlife. And so being more conscientious of that and how we can do that is something I'm definitely interested in hearing people who have ideas, things that may have worked for you in your own yards, but also ways that we as a city can encourage people to adopt more wildlife friendly practices in our backyards and collectively improve human wildlife interactions. And so this is something that the Parks Board has also been looking at, with the grizzly bear that's been present in Coal Miners Park the last couple of years, and how we can manage our parks in a way that will be better for public safety and help reduce any potential conflict with wildlife as they pass through. And not just bear, but we all know moose can be just as dangerous, and those wildlife corridors are definitely areas that we need to focus on and consider moving forward.
Thank you, Courtney.
And then the other thing, we were also going to try to look at more of our domestic animal. Currently, Red Lodge doesn't really have a plan in place for, you know, but if somebody finds a stray dog, they pretty much have to keep it until the owner is found or until Beartooth Humane Alliance can come and help you, which may be a day or two. So what we'd like to do is start exploring ways of maybe through our licensing of our animals, but trying to find a funding source to have overnight emergency shelters for strays that are found when their you know, parents can't be found right away. So there'll be kind of a big conversation there on how that would look, because as everyone knows, we don't have an animal shelter, but we do seem to have a lot of stray dogs and cats. And we'd also like to take a look at the ordinances and resolutions that we have to make sure that we can also deal with our feral cat colonies that seem to be popping back up again. Before Beartooth Humane Alliance was here, Red Lodge has, every alley has a cat colony, a feral cat colony. And Beartooth Humane Alliance came into town and they really helped clean that up, you know, with a lot of help from a lot of citizens. And it doesn't mean that you kill them, it means that you catch them, get them spayed or neutered, and then you return them so they quit having babies. Or you find them homes, or, you know, whether it's as a barn cat or what have you. But I guess I would just really like to work more, have the city work with Bear Tooth Humane Alliance more on, how these, ordinances could be tweaked a little bit, so we don't end up with puppy mills. So we don't end up with, how we can address the feral cat colonies, maybe picking back up again, and trying to create emergency shelters for when you do find that stray dog and you don't have a yard to keep them in, or your dog is not, pet friendly, and you just have to let it go again. Because that's literally what's happening, is people are having to just let the dog go when they can't find someone. And maybe down the road, wishful thinking, but Bear Tooth Humane Alliance seems to be very good at fundraising. Maybe we can eventually have some type of emergency, full-time shelter with the county and Bear Tooth Humane Alliance. That would be down the road, but we'd really like to start that conversation.
So maybe we'll go around the table and hear if anybody has any comments. Terry, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm glad you're addressing this. First of all, I think that is a great issue. One of the other things I'm hoping that we'll address is this whole thing with leash laws and things that we have now, because there's been a lot of issues with dogs running loose and either attacking other dogs or whatever. So I hope that's something that we look at, is ownership and more responsibility.
Thank you, Pete.
Having served on the county planning board and the city planning board, and then having been a developer's rep for years, I am pleased to hear that we're going to go forward with a professional contracted planner, or at least that's the plan right now. There are so many things that can get bottlenecked because there's so many people involved, from land acquisition through engineering, through sales and marketing, that it can come to a grinding halt and affect a wide range of commerce. So I really support our going forward with a contracting for a planner.
Thank you. Do you have anything you want to mention with the animal ordinances and animal regulations?
I have always been an advocate of, at some time or another, trying to find the resources to have a shelter. So I would be more than happy to contribute to that effort in terms of research with Jody.
Thank you. Kelly?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Pete about the planner. I'm glad that we're moving forward in that direction. I think it'll also make it hopefully for a quicker hire, if we're going the route of a contracted person. Because as Jim said, there's a lot of things happening right now. There's a lot of growth and there's lots of things that need attention. And so the quicker we can get somebody to do those things, the better. As far as the domestic wildlife, yes, I've heard several instances of big feral cat colonies in the area, in downtown core recently. And so it's definitely something we need to pay attention to. They can spread disease and lots of other nasty things. And then I guess with my hat on as the wife of the game warden, wildlife attractants, it's a really big problem. There's a lot of people that feed animals and deer and turkey in this town, and they're continually talked to and spoken to and warned and cited, and it just keeps going on. So we really do need to do some more education about how, and I'm certain I could ask Matt to come and talk to all of us about, I think a lot of people think that they're helping the animals by feeding them, but they're actually doing the opposite. And just this weekend, there was a mountain lion made a kill of a deer right up on the golf course. And so it's just laying up there, and it's dangerous. And when we used to live in Kalispell years ago, they had the same problem up there, lots of deer in town, and then mountain lions would come in, and they had mountain lions stalking children at the elementary school. So that's definitely not something that we want to get into. So that's the other side of, people feeding animals and thinking that they're doing a good thing when they're really not. So that's definitely something I'm passionate about.
Thank you. Jen?
I just appreciate, Jody, that you're working on emerging issues and that you're involving the Parks Board for the outreach and education. Excited to see that.
Teresa?
Well, just listening to everybody, it made me think that, the Sustainability Board was, I think, concluding their inventory of the land, and maybe there could be an assessment to see what might be available for an overnight type shelter. And also, I guess I'll leave it at that. There's so many different possibilities. Thinking out loud here.
Any more comments? So if any of you or any of your friends have any comments or suggestions that they'd like to make, or we'll do this at the end, but did you want to say?
I would just, I mean, if I had something on the events committee.
Oh, we're going to do that during public comment. Thank you. But if anybody wants to has any thoughts about the animal situation, then please send us your emails, and just like any other issue, we want to hear from you. So we like ideas and suggestions. So or if you happen to think there's a problem that we're not aware of, let us know. Can we take some public comment now? Well, then let's have you, Tim.
I think it'll be fairly short. I just kind of wanted to introduce an idea that I had. I sent Lonnie an email about it that has a bunch of links in it that will help. I wanted to talk to you about the Montana State University Institute for Tourism and Recreation Research, or the ITRR. The ITRR conducts travel recreation research in Montana with primary focus on non-resident travel. Surveys are conducted throughout the state. The research priorities include, and there's a long list, but their research priorities include economic impact as well as social and environmental impacts on tourism. They're very respected, and they're used extensively within the state, regions, and towns. At Yellowstone Country, we're constantly using it, the Chamber, the CVB, everybody does. One service that they provide that I feel Red Lodge could take advantage of at this time, especially as we're getting prepared to roll up data, is the survey kit. The survey kit is a service that helps Montana communities gather information about their visitors and or attendees of specific Montana events. The service includes the design of the survey, analysis of the resulting data, and a report. Now, I've provided links to the survey kits, and it's in an email for Lonnie. And I also have the navigation within the site to how to get around. And you maybe could figure it out a lot quicker than I did. It took me 15, 20 minutes to find what I was looking for, so I wrote it down as I did it. To me, the perfect scenario would be for the Red Lodge Events Committee to work with the event promoters to gather this information. This information will be compiled by the state, and it'll be impartial and give the town a better understanding of the economic and social impacts of events in our town. I would like to see these happen for the rodeo and the Beartooth Rally this year before, it's like I don't see us sitting down and evaluating data until we have real data, and I believe this will help provide that. I would be happy to facilitate the process. Between Sherry and I, we work with almost everybody in the state. We work with people that have done these studies in the past, and we would be able to get the information to you very easily. I have a printout of the email that I sent Lonnie, and then I also printed out one of the event survey, the reports from an event survey. I chose Evel Knievel Days in 2014 because I was there. Believe it or not, I remember being there. So, yeah, again, if there's anything that I can do to help facilitate that process, I'm here. Just I put my name and or my phone number and my email address on the bottom. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. And I just would like to add that you do limit comments to 3 minutes, and you need to state your whether you live in the city or outside the city limits.
I'll try to be brief. My name is Monica Flicker. I do not live in the city limits. I live in Harvard. I used to live in city limits. I'm here today because I'm a board member of Red Lodge Ski Touring Association. We also have Nikki Bailey in the audience, who's on the ski touring board. I saw volunteer Bill Briggs back here, and on the call we have Kristen Beck, who's also on the board. First and foremost, I want to say that I'm proud to be associated with Red Lodge Ski Touring Association, and I believe that we put on an incredibly unique event that is admired by many in this community, and has been for quite some time. We are a nonprofit organization that is run by volunteers, and our mission is simple. We want to keep this unique sport and tradition alive, and we want to give back to the community. We originated in the 1960s with the Cutter races, and then transitioned to the Western Style ski touring in the 80s with Red Lodge Ski Touring Association. Make no mistake, our organization is a community partner, and we're proud of that. What does this mean exactly? It means that we're able, through the support of our generous sponsors, to give back to the community. And just as a note, of our approximately 30 cash sponsors, 15 of them are City of Red Lodge businesses, mostly located on Main Street. There are other additional businesses that provide labor or other donated services through in-kind ways. But we also give back. Most recently, our 2020 race beneficiaries were the Red Lodge High School FFA, the Carbon County 4-H, and the Red Lodge ICE through the Red Lodge Community Foundation. And we're able to do this through our gate admissions and our Calcutta proceeds. To keep moving along, the reason why I'm here tonight is twofold. First, I'm glad to have heard some of the comments earlier that there is maybe not a war against events in this community. So I'm glad to hear that, but that perception is out there. So I hope that we can get over that quickly. And second, because in this week's agenda packet, there was an email that was published with what I consider to be a lot of misinformation about ski touring, and I want to set the record straight. In particular, I'm talking about an email from Mary Cameron that was received by members of the City Council on January 13th. So a couple of things that I just want to let you know. We do carry event insurance. We have additionally named partners on our insurance policy. It's a $1 million per occurrence and a $2 million aggregate. So just want to put that out there. I also want to let you know that a race weekend volunteer, our rope guy, Tim, he did slide into the entryway on slick road conditions the morning prior to the Sunday race. We have paid for those damages to the Red Lodge Rodeo Association. Myself and Kristen Beck were in immediate communication with the Red Lodge Rodeo president. We are accountable and responsible for our event. Our event happens during a time of year where the spring, fall, or wet conditions can happen. So yes, sometimes our parking area does get ruts. I have been out there with Kristen and many other volunteers, harrowing, hand raking, seeding, fertilizing to restore those grounds. And it's not just the track or the 4-H area or the fairgrounds area, it's also the city parking area. We do that with our own hands. I'll wrap up quickly, I understand. I have many other points, and I'll be sure to put them in an email. But I just want to explain that what I've just described to you is far different than the accusations that were provided in that email. So I'm here standing up for our organization. I'm here standing up for our volunteers. We have this saying at our meetings, you know, second weekend of March, always and forever. We are having a 2022 race, March 12th and 13th. I welcome all of you to come and enjoy the fun and see what a fun experience it is if you've never experienced it before. I also would invite you to view us as partners. Reach out to us. We have not had anyone make contact to us from the Special Events Committee. We have a public website. My number's on there, my email's on there, Tristan's number's on there. So please engage us and view us as a community partner, because that's what we are. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
Monica, I did respond to Mary Cameron because I did reach out. I talked to Phil Nardinger, and I also wanted to talk to Jim about all of that, and they corroborated everything that you just said. And so, thank you.
And we view you as partners also. Thanks.
Steve Roy, I am a citizen of Red Lodge, 815 Bigfoot Circle. I am a little bit taken back by the event committee investigation or whatever it is. I am pretty much disgusted with the whole process. I think we're going down a rat hole. I am a taxpayer. I like the subsidy that is given to us through the event process, and I think that we need to make sure that we're looking at this rather strictly, because you're going to affect every taxpayer in this city if the events suffer or the lack of events suffer. So I would be mindful, and I would counsel you on being very discreet about what you're doing with looking at this over a few reoccurring issues that people talk about with noise, okay, in this city. So that's all I'm saying, but I think you guys need to be sober and careful about what you're doing with it. Okay, thank you.
Just, did you catch the beginning of this discussion when we talked about events on the agenda?
No, I wasn't here
Okay.
probably.
Because we did review a little bit of that, so maybe.
Well,
you can,
I'm thankful that that's the case.
Yeah,
And I
just
appreciate that's the case.
check the video that will
Okay.
be posted,
All right.
and you'll hear it.
Okay. I just want responsible representation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello,
Thank you. Is there any more comments, public comments that anybody else would like to add?
Can we also do comments at the very end?
Yes, we will have some, but we have another 8 minutes before the formal, that's why we're changing it, because it's a little.
Open mind.
Okay, please do.
Shouldn't take much more than 3 minutes. I'm Beth Bojo. I don't live within the city limits. I'm 1378 Highway 78. But I have a 59068 zip code, and I think that this affects all of us. Thanks for your service to the community, to the city council. Many of you are new faces to me. I was born and raised here. I truly am a native of Red Lodge. So I thought maybe we should take a minute for a little history lesson to remember why Red Lodge is what Red Lodge is. Red Lodge was built on the notion that we have something spectacular to share with the world. Let me prove it. Nearly 100 years ago, the Red Lodge Rodeo Association gave for $1 the land to the city of Red Lodge to host an airport. Now, what would a town the size of Red Lodge need with an airport if not to have guests? They also gave to the city for $10 the land between the highway and the rodeo grounds. A grandstand was built on the rodeo grounds to hold thousands. To host the rodeo that fans would come to see from near and far. And so the tourists, the travelers, and the vacationers came. In the 1940s, along came the Festival of Nations event, and with it, so many travelers to see what we had going on, that in 1950, an event center was needed in the little tiny town of Red Lodge. It was built and named the Veterans Memorial Civic Center, and that Civic Center could tell you story after story of the many events, concerts, fundraisers, tournaments, Harlem Globetrotters, school programs that it has hosted. The tourists, the travelers, and the vacationers came. In the 1960s, we needed a new high school, along with a hospital in the little tiny town of Red Lodge. A few outdoor enthusiasts, including my father, decided that Red Lodge could also be a winter host to skiers. Grizzly Peak, now Red Lodge Mountain, was born as a great family destination with not just skiing, but winter events such as a carnival to help travelers enjoy our town. And the tourists and the travelers and the vacationers came. My point is that the success of Red Lodge has always been driven by the tourists, travelers, and vacationers, and it's our events that are the reason many of them choose to come here. Not very many years ago, our downtown businesses worried about late openings or early closings on the Beartooth Highway. A few of us decided to stop making the path into Yellowstone the destination and work very hard to make your city of Red Lodge the destination. It worked. Our events make that work, and when our events work, your city works for the good of all. Whether travelers have come here for the rodeo, festival, ski touring, concerts, tournaments, school events, skiing, winter carnivals, the rally, the fun run, Christmas stroll, car shows, or just to support the many 60 plus nonprofit organizations, they all have one thing in common. They prove that our events help them to choose Red Lodge in a very, very competitive world of tourism.
Excuse me, we have, okay, and we have read your letter that you submitted, just so you know.
The hard part is, I feel as though we're trying to choose who are acceptable guests. And that to me is a sign of intolerance that we all here profess to denounce. As a city council, you can choose to continue the legacy of our forefathers with a welcome sign for all, or you can use your powers to place financial and discouraging restrictions on events and watch them disappear. Thank you for your time. Again, I'm Beth Bojo. I was the former president of the Red Lodge Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm a past director of Home of Champions Rodeo, but mostly I'm a burger flipper, ticket taker, garbage collector, race registrar, beer pourer. I've built the pie, brought the pie, bought the pie at thousands of events to keep the wheels of Red Lodge turning. I invite you all of you, to join me in doing that, and you will soon see where the success of Red Lodge truly begins. Thank you.
And did you hear what our comments were about the event?
I did not.
Okay, please listen to the video.
I will do
Tomorrow
that. Thank you.
it's loaded. Thank you.
I will do that.
We have enough time for one more comment.
Sherry Wheeler, Red Lodge Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm the Visitors Information Center and the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I came tonight just to listen, but after listening to the plan moving forward, I'm just confused. I've been doing this job for over 6 years now. I just attended the Tourism Advisory Council meeting yesterday. I go to the Governor's Conference meetings. I have all the information that I think your committee needs. This is the third time I'm going to publicly volunteer to help. I don't know how you can roll anything out with information until you reach out. I put on half the events in town, and nobody's reached out to me for any information, or anybody else I've talked to. So I just want to, for the third time, offer my help, and please accept it.
Thank you, Sherry. And I will just say that I think it isn't that anyone has excluded anyone. The purpose was to include everyone. And so, well,
I think
that's
that's
why
our
we,
confusion, is because you haven't offered to take
It's
our
one thing to
information.
say that you do, it's another to do it, is what I think she's trying to say.
I think that's causing a lot of the trouble, is that nobody's reached out to any of us. So, that's it.
thank you. And we have listened to each of your comments and read all of your letters, and we are, the council and as a whole is always all ears to hear from everybody. So, okay, so with that, let me see what time it is. If anybody wants to take a 3-minute break, please. Oh, was there? Well, come on up.
I know you don't have my letter because I just turned it in tonight.
Okay.
I'm Susan Nardinger. I'm so mom. You may not want to own me at the end of the year, but that's life, right? Anyway, I've listened to things that are somewhat upsetting. I would like to see you definitely visit with those people from our chamber. I'm going to quickly read you my letter because it's not very long. I'm writing this letter to urge you to continue your excellent public service to all the citizens of Red Lodge, and also to those surrounding Carbon County residents and communities who, by their spirit of volunteerism and self-sacrificing contributions to the now 4% resort tax, act tirelessly and generously to make Red Lodge a thriving and welcoming destination venue for travelers of all races, creeds, and interests. The Red Lodge Rodeo is a nonprofit organization that has brought business dollars to this community for over 90 years. It maintains the rodeo facility through the labor donations of personal time and money. Volunteers are constantly completing upkeep on the grounds and structures, plumbing, electrical, painting, mowing, weeding, building, cleaning up, fencing, etc. Generous business sponsorship support and recognize the importance of this professional rodeo to the town of Red Lodge. Over the years, the Red Lodge Rodeo has brought hundreds of thousands of dollars into the city Now the city is considering charging this nonprofit for items that could easily be financed through the resort tax. The rodeo helps to support the Red Lodge Chamber of Commerce. The rodeo is a valuable asset to Red Lodge. It should be appreciated and not be treated in a punitive manner, nor should any of these events. A resort town is not an island unto itself. The resort tax is a benefit that allows the town to finance needed infrastructure, such as water lines and a pool. Residential taxpayers are saved money through the income provided by the resort tax. It is traditional events like the Red Lodge Rodeo that bring significant numbers of visitors that pay the resort tax. Why would Red Lodge consider harming this event? Why kill any cash cows for Red Lodge? Why not work together to keep Red Lodge strong? Why not keep the unity in community? Why not work out differences in an amicable and supportive manner? Turn my page. It's here. I glued them together, sorry about that. You never can trust a teacher's glue. In closing, let's look at the science of symbiosis, according to Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary. Science is important. Symbiosis, the living together in close union of two dissimilar organisms in a mutually beneficial relationship. Yes, you can, Red Lodge. I saw it on your sign. Yes, you must, for the good of the whole. What would Glory Mahan say? In friendship and support, I thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. All right, so with that, we will begin the council meeting and call it to order with the allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Coughlin?
Yes.
Battles?
Yes.
Kelly?
Here.
Durbin?
Here.
Heaton?
Here.
Ronnie?
Here.
Whistler? Here.
The minutes of January 11th and 25, do we have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second. Any discussion? Shall we vote then? Roll call?
Battles?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is warrants payable.
We gotta do the other minutes.
Oh, come on.
January 11th,
The
regular session.
okay, January 11th.
Move to approve the minutes of January 11th, the regular session. One second.
Roll call?
Battles?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes.
Move to approve the minutes of the January 25th meeting.
Second. Roll call?
Battles?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes. Okay, warrants payable. Any discussion?
I move to approve warrants payable in the amount of $364,033.56.
I'll second.
The big check that we did in the warrants payable this time were that we did pay the fire department, their 28 mills in the amount of $218,000. So, our actual amount of $364,000 is probably one of our lower amounts that we've had in a while. So,
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Battles?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
yes.
Whistler?
Yes. there aren't any more officer reports. One is there?
Those are just what was in the clerk's report, the resort tax report, those are in.
Okay.
Resort tax was up for last check, for fourth quarter, a lot.
That's great. All right, mayor's comments. Marvin Keller has volunteered to serve on the Carbon County Historic Preservation Commission. And I think he's very well qualified, and I'd like to thank him for his letter. So with council's approval, he will become that commission member. Is there a motion?
So moved.
My second. Any discussion? Roll call?
Battles?
Yes.
Fratelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes. Thank you. And then we have 2 vacancies of the police commission. We received 3 applicants. The 3rd applicant, I hope, will reapply when there's another vacancy. And for those appointments, I would like Michael Keys and Nate Davis to serve. So if someone could make a motion. I don't know. In a second? Okay. And
So who was the 3rd applicant? Because it wasn't in our packet.
And I apologize, that was my fault, it was forwarded to me, and I forgot to include it in the packet. But it was Will Bernard. Was the 3rd one.
And these vacancies come up every once in a while, so I hope he would reapply. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, will Mr. Bernards get in time?
He did it, like I said, Greg forwarded it to me, and I totally missed it in my email.
And so I just received it. And I would need more information if stated his intent. I don't know more than that. So,
would you like more time to go over all of them, or?
Well, I'd like to get those positions filled, because it's been advertised for quite a while and it's vacant. So he's more than welcome to provide, more information if there's another vacancy. I just don't know anything really about.
Do we have reason to need the commission at this time so that this needs to be done tonight? That's just a question.
Yeah, and it's just, we have a lot coming up, and I would like to, this has been vacant since January 1st, and it's the middle of February, so I'd like to move on. And I think that these other 2 applicants are very well qualified. They both served on the Citizens Oversight Committee. They both have very good experience, and they know Red Lodge. They know a lot of the people in Red Lodge. I think they're very interested in the position. And I think they're good candidates. So those are my choices, given all the circumstances. Any other comments or discussion? Roll call?
Battles?
Yes.
Fratelli?
No.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes. Thank you. The next thing coming up is Arbor Day Proclamation. Courtney, are you still there?
I'm still here.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about this Arbor Day Proclamation, please?
Yes, so as a tree city, one of the grants that we apply for every year is our Arbor Day Grant. And as a tree city, we receive typically $750 to purchase trees for Arbor Day. And so this year, we typically combine Arbor Day with our Earth Day events and parks cleanup. So this year, that will be April 30th. The proclamation is part of the application for the Arbor Day grants. And so, yeah, we're excited to, some years we don't get a chance to actually plant our trees on Arbor Day because of weather, but we still try to celebrate it and work with some community members and identify locations that could benefit from these Arbor Day trees.
Thank you. And so April 30th, 2022 is Arbor Day. Thank you, Courtney. Moving on to council member appointments to boards. Jen has agreed to serve on the Parks and Sustainability Board. Teresa has agreed to continue serving on the Library Board. Pete has offered to serve on the Fire Oversight Board and the Alternatives Board. So, thank you. Yes. We should probably approve it. So, any motions?
Do you want to do each one individually or all at once?
You can do it all at once.
Okay. I'm that these council people be appointed to those boards.
Any seconds?
Second.
Roll call or discussion? Does anybody have any comments? Roll call?
Battle? Yes. Curtelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Eaton?
Yes.
Ronnie? Yes. Whistler?
Yes.
All right. So we're back at public comments. Tim?
I'll introduce myself this time.
All right.
My name is Tim Weimer. I live on Rivington Ranch Road. Before that, I lived 28 years within the city limits, so I still consider myself a resident. I've served on numerous boards, including various event boards. I actually started promoting events in my 20s when I created and produced a motocross race series in Cody, Wyoming. I was the windsurfing commissioner for the Big Sky State Games while living in Billings. Before moving to Red Lodge, I helped promote and produce the first mountain bike races on Red Lodge Mountain. I worked with Leo Wilson when he started the Beartooth Rally in '95, I believe it was. I designed and printed the first t-shirts and served on the rally committee for a number of years. I made the down payment of our first Red Lodge home with the money I made selling those t-shirts. I served for 5 years, feels more like 10 years, on the Red Lodge ski drawing board. Putting on ski drawing is a damn hard work, guaranteed. Most people really put in an effort for this town. I was one of 6 on the committee that produced and promoted the first successful Willie Nelson concert at the rodeo grounds, the one they named the Willie Fire after. I currently work with the rodeo board with online ticket sales as well as day of event sales. The Home of Champions remains one of the biggest, if not the biggest event in Red Lodge. I feel that the Red Lodge didn't so much build the Home of Champions as the Home of Champions Rodeo built Red Lodge. An example of that is we would not have an airport without the forethought and generosity of that original rodeo board. My company, Creative Design Works to promote all events through the Destination Red Lodge Travel Planner, redlodge.com calendar, digital and print ads, as well as our e-newsletter. So why am I telling you all of this? Qualifications. I would like to serve on the city's events committee, or at the very least have the ability to sit in on the meetings. There is talk that there is a misconception within the Red Lodge about what the committee's role and intent with events is, and I believe I can help clear that up. I also feel that because of my involvement in Red Lodge's events over the years, I could bring experience and perspective to the events committee. I am asking you to please allow me to help the city's events committee achieve its goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Do we need the events committee to reiterate the calendar and the process again? There's going to be a public meeting.
Yeah.
And all of the input is appreciated all the time. And, you know, you're welcome to come to the meeting.
The meetings are not closed?
No, everybody is welcome to come to the meeting.
I've heard both ways.
Are they advertised?
All you need to do is.
They're
call
not
me.
advertised.
They're not advertised.
No, they aren't. But, you know, you
There you go.
give us a call. You know, we do try to follow all of the open meetings rules because it's important to ensure the
So
public has
is
an
there
opportunity.
something that we could do to know when those are?
You know, you can
Call them here?
if you want to call a committee member, I'm sure that they will help you with any question that you have. So I'm not personally part of the committee, so. But I just want everybody to know that we, you know, we're here to listen. So, we have listened to hundreds of voices and hours of meetings. So, please continue. Is there any more public comments?
I am Bob Minsick. I am outside of Red Lodge right now, up on the east bench. Just to add the best little bit of history, I got on the committee in 1979. In 1984, I was treasurer. And at that time, I had to take the bank deposits daily, put them in the drop box at the bank, because we had all signed notes, put our names on there to make those payments to their rodeo ground. And we did that. And after we got our bills paid and paid all our subcontractors, I think we came out with about $1,000 or $2,000 to the plus, because we had exactly $1,250 when I came in. So just want to let you know, out of about thousands and thousands of hours that we all donate, and they have donated in the past. We put a lot of sweat and tears into that, and just wanted to let you know what it was like when things were thin. Fortunately, now we have $1,251. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more comments? Yes.
Hello, my name is Marie Olson. I own Boys at 215 East 7th Street. I live at 13 Freestyle Lane, 2 miles out of town. I'm on the chamber board right now. I'm also involved with the Christmas Stroll to Santa Claus program. We put on the Metal Fest during the rally, and also on the Home of Champions Rodeo board. So I have just 2 statements tonight. First of all, I want to thank you regarding Jennifer Drinkwalter. She's a personal acquaintance friend of mine, on top of being a fellow promoter, and would like to thank the council for recently being so supportive of her event that allows camping, alcohol, and live music on city property, on top of not including a letter of proof of insurance intent. Approval for an event has never happened without this, and has in the past always been tabled, but nonetheless proves to me that the current city council is supportive of both existing and new events in Red Lodge. My second comment, moving forward, it is my hope that all events are considered when considering changes and or updating. This includes taking into consideration the farmers market, the fun run, and the songwriters festival, just to name a few. Emotions and ulterior motives may have unintended consequences, and future issues may arise without doing the proper research and asking people who have actually done these things, you know, the experts, what they would do. So anyway, I'm so glad that precedent has been set in forthright support from this new council regarding Red Lodge events using city-owned property. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments?
Steve Roy, I'm a citizen of Red Lodge, 815 Bigfoot Circle. 2 things. One, I would iterate everything I said about the events and about the responsibility to the taxpayers within this city relative to what the resort tax does in subsidizing the property taxes that we pay. Okay, big thing that affects everyone in this city, every single citizen. Okay, so I'm hoping that you guys will be responsible about your acting on this question. Number 2, I formally disagree with the mayor and Heaton regarding the police commission. I've been the former police commission board member and chair. I believe that not leaving it open for what I heard just recently relative to the other applicant is irresponsible. And so I agree with, Pete on his, view of the situation, and that's my comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments?
My name is Nikki Bailey. I'm a resident of Carbon County. I live down by Robert. I'm also engaged in many community events that occur in Red Lodge throughout the year. I'm directly involved in the planning of the Carbon County 4-H and SFA Fair. I'm on the board of the Red Lodge Ski Joring Association and the Home Champions Rodeo. These events add culture and longstanding unique community feel to our area and are vital to the future of our community. And that's all of our communities, not just Red Lodge, Joliet, Robert, the whole county. While others can talk about the economic impact and the events have on Red Lodge and the county to both business revenue and resort tax, as been said, I'd like to express my support for the volunteers and the community members who put on these events and the overall positive impact they have on this community. If you look around the state and the country at many large events that take place, they're planned and hosted by a business or a company. The shows at the Metro have a paid crew. At Big Sky, I was just at that ski joring race. They had a paid firm that handled all of their organization for that event. Many rodeos are organized by large companies that have a financial stake in the success of that event. The events in Red Lodge are coordinated almost solely by volunteers. I'm a member of both the Home Champions Rodeo and the Ski Joring Board, and I can tell you that there isn't a person that goes to those meetings who gets paid to be there. In fact, most of them take time off work to prepare, host, and clean up after their events. The Western spirit of community is one of the things that makes Carbon County and Red Lodge so impressive and truly a great place to live and work. While other communities around the state struggle to bring the community together and are trying to make events to bring people into their community, this is something that Red Lodge has been doing successfully for many years. Taxpaying citizens from this county are giving up their evenings, weekends, and free time to volunteer for the benefit of their community. From being involved in these local organizations, I can tell you that you see many of the same faces at the rodeo meetings that you'll see at the fair board, on the volunteer fire department, and at the school board meetings. They are good people that show up to benefit the community. So before this council takes action to limit or impede events, I think it is prudent for you to look past the event itself and give your support to the individuals that make these events happen. By adding roadblocks and anti-event policies, you're creating unnecessary hoops for the good-hearted citizens of this community to jump through. It will not be paid employees who are forced to come up with the finances to support additional fees, time to attend additional meetings, or resources to find attorneys to review contracts. It will be the volunteers and the hardworking people of Carbon County who frequently give their kids a kiss goodnight and eat the leftover sandwich while driving their personal vehicle to yet another night meeting to make these world-class events in Red Lodge that is known for hosting. Beyond the selfless nature of these volunteers that host events, the events themselves give back to the community. As Monica shared before, 4-H, which I'm the director of that program, 4-H has been given money by both the Home Champions Rodeo Committee and the Red Lodge Ski Joring Association. They do this through letting the kids work for their money, and they also give direct donations. And I know there are many other organizations that have gained money from donations from these organizations. I'm proud to be involved in these organizations that not only volunteer to host great events, but also give back. In conclusion, Red Lodge events contribute to the Western way of life and provide the community a way to come together. Time and money of the volunteers makes this community spirit and the true dollars something that you can't hire to replace it. Whether it's building a ski joring track in the middle of the night, harrowing the grounds on the weekend, or the volunteer work is vast and varied in the community. Red Lodge events are planned around the kitchen table, created through the hard work and the giving of valuable time by the citizens. Red Lodge has a historic reputation as a friendly, fun place, and this is in part due to our events. When determining the future of Red Lodge, I encourage you to consider the value of the volunteer in all Red Lodge events. And I will forward on to that.
Thank you. Any more comments?
Will you be taking any online comments?
Yes, thank you for the reminder, though. Come on up and.
Thank you.
No, just a minute. We have a few more people here, and then we'll get to the online comments.
Sorry. Heather Quinn, 623 3rd Avenue, Bear Creek, but we do have a few businesses here in Red Lodge as well as a rental property. And I just want to say, first of all, I want to thank you guys for attempting to clarify maybe some of the confusion
about the event. Because if you will note that most of us are here to protect our events and keep our events. So we feel like we have to defend them. And I'm not sure why we feel that way if that's not how you all feel. So somewhere along the line, there's a little break in the conversation. So I do appreciate that maybe that will change. I think part of that might be from the fact that there are several of us that did ask to join or be invited to go to the events committee. Some of us were just flat out denied and some requests were just flat out ignored. So therefore, we do not feel a part of this. We did not feel that this was an open events committee. So the fact that it is, that's encouraging. And I think that you will see a few of us there, hopefully to help. I'm also disappointed in a lot of the letters that didn't get presented. And I know that you said that some of them maybe had financial information. I do feel that there are a lot of letters that didn't have financial information that did not get presented. And I'm not sure why that is. But I had something really important to say about that, and I can't remember what it was. But, oh, I know, it's just, and this might be a little bit more personal to our events, or to us personally, is some of those letters did not get posted. However, the very vile letters did, and they always seem to, and that's extremely disappointing. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any more comments?
My name is Stacy Nottinger. I do not live within the city limits, but I'm involved in multiple ways. I'm going to follow up on Nikki's letter because almost everything that's written in there I volunteer for. I am the Homo Champions HOC secretary. In addition, I am the Carbon County Board Superintendent, so I'm very involved in the fair that's for the 4-H and FFA. I am a teacher in this community, so I'm very involved in the youth. My daughter does skijoring. I'm there, I'm volunteering. All the other events that she mentioned as well, Rockfest, I got put to work at the Rockfest. They don't do it well. I'm a doer. And so with that being said, I think that we need to just clear up a little bit of the transparency and the open public forum that we need to have. So my suggestion would be for you to put those meetings right on your website. So if you're going to do an events committee meeting, put it on the website so people are aware, so we don't have to contact anybody, nobody has to contact us. We look at that, boom, this is where they're having a meeting. I do have a question, what constitutes a quorum for your city council?
Majority of the members.
So how many members are counted in your quorum?
And this is public comment, it's not like question and answer.
Okay, so
And we
with
can
that,
get-
then I'll go back to, then we can look, and then I'll just put that comment on there. So I'm not sure how many sits on your public. On three. And so if another member is there, that is considered an open meeting. And so that has to be posted 48 hours prior to that meeting attendance. And I can give you the Montana Annotated Code. I'm the JTA as far as that union president. This code needs to be followed. And I think here, everybody sitting in this room would like you to follow that code. So thank you. And if you would maybe take that into consideration and post those meetings so that we all can be in attendance with them. I think we want to be included. And I think that would help a whole bunch if we would just be included and asked to be included. Thank you for your time.
Okay, and maybe, Dennison, do you want to speak on subcommittees of the council?
Absolutely, Your Honor. Or.
Wow.
Promotion there. Mayor, members of the city council, do you have any questions for me on the committee, I guess, the event committee?
Clarification of requirements for notice.
Notice the requirements for the city council when there's a quorum. In the city council, there's 4 people, as has been mentioned by many people here. 4 people are a quorum of the city council. If 4 people are city council members are meeting, at that point the meeting has to be open to the public and also noticed. If 3 people are meeting, it does not have to be. Also, obviously, it's not a secret meeting though. Still open to the public. People can still come and watch the discussions happening, but it does not have to be noticed at that point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
And is there any clarification of the meetings that the events committee would like to make? Or policies or anything like that? Okay. All right, well, we will move on to new business. Huh?
Public comment.
Oh, sorry, thanks. Public comment online. Who's speaking?
Hi, this is Jeremy Battles. I'm a city resident. I just wanted to put in a suggestion based on, I think, what's a clear disparity between some of these public comments and the comments that we opened with in the previous meeting in support of the events committee and its purpose. I just wanted to suggest that, words are great, and those were certainly appreciated, I think, by a lot of the attendees here. But there's something to be said for black and white written down communication that can be referenced. The previous commenter suggested putting this online, and I think that's a great idea. I would also like to suggest that the committee consider publishing a charter that states its purpose very clearly. That doesn't necessarily have to be in the form of a charter, but at least some kind of official document signed on by the committee, and so it's very clear what this committee's purpose is. It's my understanding that it is not anti-event, and if that's true, then that's great. It also needs to be put in writing, I feel. And if that's, put in writing, approved, I feel like that will allay a lot of the apprehension that's clearly being expressed tonight. And, for those who aren't able to be here tonight, it's still going around. So, yeah, I would just like to, that's how a committee should work. I realize this committee was formed by the previous administration, but that can be corrected. So I just urge you all to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. And just to address some of those points, Dennison, do you have some guidelines?
Absolutely. Mayor, members of the city council. The question that I think that everybody's here is, what I hear is that people are scared of what they don't know. That's what I keep hearing tonight. And that sounds like it's been discussed. The information will be presented, I think, in about a month. March 8th was when it was going to be presented. And so between now and then, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not directing the committee, but I don't know why people are worried about things that have not happened yet. That's my 2 cents. It's not really a legal issue. Concerning the, responding to the idea that the events committee should have a charter, I would say that legally that's probably a bad idea at this point in time. And the reason for it is the events committee is not making decisions. They're making recommendations and they're looking into things. And at this point, my understanding from the events committee is going to make recommendations. They'll present the data that everybody's presented to them. They'll make recommendations to the council. And from there, that's when the discussions should actually then start taking place of what the policy decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Another point I would just like to make is we've had I'm a new mayor, I'm not the old mayor, and we have new council members. So some policies might change, but we're always trying to follow the rules for how all the committees are conducted and how all the information is gathered. So, Tim?
So we're making comments on comments.
Yeah.
I would just like to comment that while I agree with what Dennison said, I also agree with what Jeremy said. There's a problem with making recommendations when you don't have all the information. I don't know how you can make a recommendation unless you know what it is you're recommending.
Yeah.
And so, and that's where I see the disconnect. And that's why this group is here. And this is why I have my questions. And my questions will continue until I no longer see a disconnect between the city and the event coordinators.
And I appreciate your input, and I have bent the rules pretty far to accommodate all the comments in 2 different times, and I'm sure that I'm breaking rules right now formatically, so we're gonna move on. But online comments, are there any more? All right then, and we will move on with new business. And that would be the employment contract for the Public Works Director. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
All right, and a roll call. Any further discussion, actually? No. All right, roll call.
Battle?
Yes.
Fratelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Eaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes. Thank you. And then,
Congratulations again.
Yeah.
and then we're going to vote on the ordinance 762 amendment. If I could have a motion.
We have to open the public hearing. It's an ordinance.
Oh,
We have to open public hearing, and then any comments, and then you close it, and then you go for the motion.
Okay.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lon.
It's her first one.
Thank you very much. So, any comments from the table about the?
You open it up to the public.
Open
for
to
the
the
public
public.
hearing.
All right.
And I think you did a gavel.
Yeah.
Oh. We have a public hearing. Any comments from the public?
Pardon me, but what's 762?
It's for reorganizing the structure of these meetings so that we'll have, so that we'll have, a working session and then the regular session just immediately follows
Okay,
it,
that's
instead of
future.
waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't have to wait till 7 o'clock to start the
Still
regular
within
meeting.
bylaws, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
Any further public comment? All right. Public comments are closed.
Now for a motion.
Now we can have a motion.
I move to approve.
A roll call? For discussion? Any discussion, further discussion? Roll call?
Battle?
Yes.
Fratelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Eaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes. Thank you. The last item is correspondence, and I'm not aware of any beyond all of our letters that we've discussed. And, you know, I think that to answer the question about the what letters have been included in the packet, it's just a management issue. Everything is available for anybody to see. But it's just, it doesn't make sense to put all that in a public agenda. So if anybody wants to look at it, they're more than welcome to. So,
I personally, I kind of disagree with that a little bit. I think that if people take the time to write a letter, that it should be included in the packet for everyone to read. The way that it was handled before, and it's not to say you have to do it this way, but if I emailed my city council rep just one-on-one, that was not included. But if I emailed everybody or the city clerk, it was included. And I just think people need to, I feel that they should be read. I mean, they took the time to read them. I write them, and that they should be available
And then,
in the packet.
so, and then with the events committee, so that's where the confusion was with the letters, because the email that was sent out was to the businesses for their input from the events committee. So when those came back in, that was for the events committee. That's why they didn't get into the packet. But, I mean, but they were sent back to me because I was the one that sent the email on behalf of the events committee.
thank you. Teresa?
I feel like we need an extended public service announcement. If the letters are not received by Friday at what, 10, whatever, they don't get packaged into what we see. I'm working all day and doing odd stuff, and I'll tell you, it's chasing us right up until the minute where we open here. So we may not have seen your letter. We may not have had it in our packet. So if you are going to write a letter, it's sometimes best to shoot for, Thursday night, early Friday, so that you know it gets into the packet.
And like I said, the whole event committee wants those responses. That's why it didn't get into the packet, because that was responding to the email for the events committee. The other ones, people they call and ask for those ones to be put in there. And then the other ones that are in there were ones that we received back in January after the deadline for the last council meeting in January. So that's the.
So moving forward, though, if people write a letter, it will be in the packet. Is that right?
There's usually a lag. Right.
Right, no, I understand that. And I could have misunderstood what Kristen was saying. I just, moving forward, if someone writes a letter to Lonnie or to all city council people, it will be in our packet, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it's just the events committee emails, they're available.
I misunderstood that. I thought you were saying that they wouldn't always be, so that was. Thank you.
You know
for
what, I'm all
clarification.
about efficiency and management, and Lonnie does a great job with her policies in what gets included and what doesn't. So,
Sorry, so let's just be clear, like, setting events committee aside, if someone writes to any one of us or to all of us, it goes into the packet materials, so long as you do it in time, that give Lonnie enough time to actually print it for us.
My
and get
idea
it
has
into
to
the
be,
packet.
if you guys don't forward it to me, if I'm not
Right.
included on it, it won't go in.
Well,
the
and we
packet.
have an internal, we have a policy that says it will get forwarded or in, and that someone from your ward will respond to you. So that's taken care of, and I think moving forward, people can trust in the fact that if you write a letter, it will get to us and you will see it in the packet. It might not be the week that you wrote it, but it will get in here, and if it's not this time, it'll be next time. And then in terms of the committee soliciting input specifically, I believe what I understood from the working session was if a business owner wanted it to be made public, it will be made public. And if they did not express that, then it will remain confidential and for the purposes of protecting those business owners. Right, correct? That's how I understood it from the working session, so.
Mayor, I believe you do still have discretion to omit, to choose which letters, because there are privacy issues, especially if it's about city, staff or things like that, that are not always appropriate to put into the package. So you have to be mindful of that as well, that it may be that this is the mayor's discretion that some letters are not included in the package.
thank you, but CC the clerk, basically, and that covers most of the bases. So, we spent the rules quite a bit this meeting. I thought I saw one more hand up. So let's hear from you.
I have my hand up, and I'm Laura Getz, and I just moved back into town, I don't even know my damn address. 301 North Hauser. Speaking to your point, Ms. Whistler, there was a letter hand-delivered to city council yesterday that is in that packet. So the rules aren't always applied, and that wasn't the issue. The issue was that there were numerous letters that were provided well before the cutoff time that were not in the packet. And it again and again and again, we get the same letters from the same people giving the same vile, spewing hatred toward one event and one event organizer over and over and over, and we don't get the rest of them, and I don't know why that is. So it would be really nice if when the packets are provided, all of the information is there for everyone to see and not cherry-picked. That's what my comment is. Thank you.
All right. I'd just like to remind everybody that we're getting ready for Valentine's Day. So
I hope we have an event.
Well, so do I. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Yay.
Thank you.